friends. My name is Tavis Linsin. I'm a guitarist and writer. I'm also an education researcher and teacher. During the COVID pandemic, I've worked with my friend and colleague, Aaron Solomon, to develop supportive online communities for people engaged in creative practice, musicians, writers, visual artists, and others. Aaron works as a counselor and trauma healer. He also teaches meditation and mindfulness, and had been a Buddhist monk for 14 years. Our collaboration was motivated in part by our feeling that there was a heightened need for community and support, particularly among musicians and artists during the pandemic. And we also felt there was a special opportunity to combine creative, contemplative, and healing practices to address this need. We call the online communities we've developed creative listening circles. There are 7 key purposes of the creative listening circles. These include providing a safe place to share from the heart and with vulnerability what's most creatively alive, understanding creative work in relation to broader life journeys, cultivating a high quality of attention and care to receive creative shares of others, developing the individual and collective energies of empathy, compassion, mindfulness, and insight to hold creative work of others and to offer warm reflection, deepening, nourishing, and inspiring our creative journeys, offering beauty, inspiration, and aliveness, and sharing and listening in ways that support individual and collective healing. This could include locating our creative work in relation to pressing social inequalities. Creative listening circles are live experiments. We regularly elicit feedback from participants and engage in self-reflection, asking if, how, and to what extent we're achieving our purposes. We continually update practices and approaches based on feedback and reflection. We're learning a lot and may add a research component to our work at some point in the near future. Weekly online sessions tend to last for an hour and a half to 2 hours. Our format is flexible and contains the following elements: a welcome check-in where participants share what's most creatively alive for them that moment or that week. A deeper grounding, an opportunity to slow down and connect with our bodies. And this might consist of a 5-minute sit. And then a round of in-depth sharing where some participants share their creative work, and if they choose, receive reflections on their shares. When reflecting on someone's share, participants might mirror elements of the share that resonated with them, describe how the share made them feel, ask brief questions, seek clarification, or offer artful reflection, creating a poem, for example, in response to a sharer's song. Throughout the circle, we work to honor and protect the autonomy, agency, and safety of all participants. Circles tend to conclude with the checkout. Participants are invited to share what worked for them or didn't during the circle, to share what they learned, and to offer suggestions forward. One of the primary foundations for creative listening circles has been prior work Aaron has done with listening circles for a broader range of participants. And Aaron will share a bit more in depth about that.
But I just wanted to go through some of the basics of the foundations of the practice that we have used in the listening circles, and then I think Tavis will take us a little bit more into the creative, that was the offshoot, the creative listening circles. All right, so I have some slides that I'll share, and I will bring that up now. Okay, so this first slide is just an introduction with a question: what does it mean to listen deeply? And this is the practice that Thich Nhat Hanh speaks about and teaches in his tradition, in the tradition of Buddhism. And for me, one way to start as an answer to this question that's been very valuable to me is that listening begins in the body. We feel emotions and connection through our bodies. We feel pain, threat, stress in our bodies, a sense of safety, security, connection, all happen in our body and through body language. And much of our communication happens below the level of our awareness through our body language. And the body has a way of really telling us what's important here. What do I really feel? What am I feeling? And what am I needing for you and for us? This next slide shows how communication can really be expressed through two bodies. This is physical contact, you see, but you can have a sense that there's communication happening. And we connect through our bodies. And that can happen even when there's not physical touch, but where our bodies are somehow involved. So how do we, what will help us sort of become embodied in a way that we can be present and feel into our bodies? And we use slowing down and grounding as ways of doing that. So a safe body, it gives us a sense of self-connection, safe self-connection, and that allows safe other connection. And slowing down or stopping is about bringing our attention back to this moment so that we're not distracted and we can be more present. Once we're more present, then we start to resonate with the feelings. I start to feel a little bit of what you're feeling if I'm there with you. And then through that resonance, a sense of empathy can arrive. I'm starting to understand, maybe understanding at least on some level and sharing in your feeling. So that's some of that. And then ways of grounding, I've just made a list of some of the classic ways that sort of soothe us and help us feel grounded so that we can connect. Weight of our body, rhythmic movement, our breath, touching with our own hands on the body, something we can see that's pleasant, something we can hear, or even a memory that we can touch into, a moment where we felt something grounding or pleasant that's soothing to the body. And then briefly just wanted to, this slide has a lot on it, but there are various kinds of empathy. The first one I mentioned is that sense of resonance. It's feeling with someone. I'm just going to go through the first three here. But the second one is really being able to see something through another person's eyes. And that's very powerful. And what we do in our listening circles is we offer what we call a reflection. So seeing it from someone's side, or like being a mirror and reflecting it back to them. We might say, so you were feeling this and this happened, and then that, is that right? We check to see if we're understanding, if we're seeing and understanding what they're seeing. The next one is very powerful too, and that's cognitive empathy, which is a big word for just making meaning or understanding how feelings and values or meaning are connected together. Like when we're sad or angry or frustrated, there's some roots there, there's some causes, and there's some need or value that's not being met. And the same is true when we're feeling joyful or peaceful or content. It's something that maybe we can touch there's real in that moment. So just want to elaborate a little bit more on the cognitive empathy, or that sense of understanding. Oops, sorry about that. And the next slide is taken a little bit from the nonviolent communication tradition, and just lists some of those things that we really value as human beings, generally speaking: beauty and understanding, presence, honesty, love, care. And when those are met, then we might feel some of those fulfilled feelings that are listed: joy and gratitude, so on. And when they're not met, or when it's lacking and we're expecting that, we might feel some of the unfulfilled feelings, fear and anger and upset. So that's just a basic, very basic picture of like being present, grounding, resonating with someone, reflecting back to them what we're hearing them say, and then getting in touch with maybe what kind of meaning is there in what someone is experiencing, what need is there, what value, and what feelings, and how they're all connected. So just a very brief picture of some of our listening circles practice. And I'm going to hand it back to Tavis. Thank you.
Beautiful, Aaron. Thank you. I began to feel that there'd be a huge value in bringing those of us engaged in creative practice together in community to receive support from one another and to be held and to generate a collective energy of inspiration and beauty. My own experience as a writer and as a guitarist is that the artistic journey can be a solitary one, and there can be really enormous value in the energy and the support of community. And it's hard work to bring people together in a way that really foregrounds their agency and their self-expression and their sense of safety. And my perception was, my belief is, some of the work Aaron had done with the listening circles really created a very solid foundation, that could be adapted and maybe expanded, or a starting place for an exploration of what it meant to be really receptive to the creative work of another and to offer artistic reflection.
To me, it's just that the way in which we're present with each other, and that I think you used the word too of holding, a sense of being held in your experience, and when you're expressing something and trying to make sense of your own emotions that often play through your expression in your creative work, when that's sort of held and reflected back to you, there is something really I mean, the word that comes to mind is just miraculous about that, what that feels like inside. And it's very hard to give you that feeling, but I think there's a certain awe and discovery in having that reflected back that really opens the heart and shifts perspective. And I do think that's a lot of what healing is about, that those reorganizations of patterns in our consciousness and nervous system, sometimes at really low levels below our awareness. So yeah, it feels really special when that's happening. And I sense that is a beautiful part of it.
Thank you.